Hello and welcome to this special edition of Culture on I-24 News. Today we devote our program to the best upcoming films from Israel and the US. We're also going to sum up this exciting summer we had, and to help me out with all of this, I'm joined in the studio by no less than three wonderful experts. Or Sigoli, film critic at the Srita film blog. Hello to you.
Hi.
Gabi Tartakovsky, I-24 News correspondent, and our wonderful editor, Avri Rosen-Tzvi. Thank you both for coming in here as well. You didn't have a choice. Thank you for joining us as well. Before we get to all this good stuff that's coming up, we have to begin with farewell to one of the giants of Israeli film industry, Menahem Golan. He passed away this weekend at the age of 85. Along with his partner, Yoram Globus, the two ruled over Israeli film industry in the 1970s and 80s, and also conquered Hollywood with their company Canon Films, producing many memorable films, both action crowd pleasers and some art house gems. Let's turn to Gabi to hear a little more about Golan and his importance in Israeli film industry. Was he such a major role?
Yes, he was basically the Israeli film industry, and Golan revolutionized everything here in Israel. First of all, he admired the Hollywood production value and copied much of the marketing systems which weren't the norm here in Israel. But he also had a big affection for Italian neorealism films, so he incorporated both of these cinematic worlds into an original piece in Israeli cinema. And I think it's no coincidence that he filmed a lot of his early films here in Jaffa, because he felt that the realism speaks volumes here in Jaffa, and all these incredible love stories of a professor falling in love with some poor little girl and so forth. So he had a magic touch, definitely.
He had a thing for melodrama as well,
yes,
apparently.
Yes.
Now, a lot of what we remember about the 80s as far as films are concerned is actually thanks to Golan Globus.
Yes, he had a knack for these incredible action films such as The Delta Force and Cobra and Bloodsports. But I think that he was also revolutionary in capitalizing on trends that Hollywood disregarded first. We all remember the breakdance films, also a Canon production.
Right, something that maybe in recent years people are coming back to step up, all kind of things that maybe he started back
He
then.
was unashamed, really, to look at what's in the moment and to just produce a film really quickly that takes.
And he also understood that the demographics is changing, and you have to appeal to a younger audience to make a blockbuster film. The 70s were the golden era of adult-oriented film industry. Adult not in the sense of porn, adult but in the sense of Taxi Driver and The Deer Hunter and so forth. He knew that if the kids are going to love it, then it's going to be a box office success.
Although at some point it seemed like he lost his touch.
He lost his touch, but he was aiming in the right direction. Canon and Globus were responsible for Superman 4, Captain America, the feature film from 1990, and also Masters of the Universe. So those were flops, but he understood the future of Hollywood blockbusters, the brands, the potential of comic book films. And let's not forget that Golan, for many years, held the rights to Spider-Man for a filming adaptation of Spider-Man. He wasn't able to execute it. And perhaps this is the tragic point in Golan's work, because he knew
he had the insight, but he didn't have the tools.
He didn't have the tool anymore, and by the late 80s, he also made some very devious business decisions, which also resulted in his downfall.
Yeah. Now, all critics never fancied him too much. Do you think they'll ever forgive him?
Well, even his new movies wasn't well received with critics, but these days, if you look back, the critics and the Academy really appreciate his films and really look with certain nostalgia about the way he told stories, about all the influences about society. Even they were melodramas, poor melodramas. Right now, they are regarded as really special movies about special people.
Also, some of the films like Salah Shabati that he produced, are today considered like major films in Israeli filmography. It's like people don't appreciate it at the time, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and of course he brought us Chuck Norris for.
And he produced 4 out of the first 5 Israeli movies that were nominated for best original. Best,
no, he definitely he earned his place in film history, no doubt. Moving on from this rich legacy of filmmaking, we'll now take a look at what awaits us in cinemas this fall. Some major filmmakers have new films coming out in the next few months, and we're going to talk about some of the more promising ones. Avri, what do you want to start with?
Well, we'll begin with Interstellar, which is the next movie by Christopher Nolan, opening on November 7th. We're starting very strong. The film talks about a guy played by Matthew McConaughey who has to go on a mission to the stars to find a new home for Earth. Basically, Earth is falling down, and
you're telling me.
And they have to find a new place. Let's take a look at a piece of the trailer before we start talking about it.
9.
I've got kids, Professor. How long would I be gone?
8.
I'm asking you to trust me.
7.
Murph. You have to talk to me, Murph.
6.
I need to fix this before I go.
You have no idea when you're coming back.
5. Main engine start.
Couldn't you have told her you were going to save the world?
No.
4.
When you become a parent,
3.
one thing becomes really clear.
2.
And that's that you want to make sure your children feel safe.
1.
Wow. All right, so after Batman and some major hits, he's going to space.
He's going to space, but I chose this part of the trailer really because, it goes on later to like 2001 territory, in the stars and a space journey. But I chose this part because I think that in this film, Nolan really wants to combat the idea that he's a cold, emotionless filmmaker that's all about the visuals.
But he is.
Well, he made some films like that for sure, like Inception. But I think he's trying to give us the more softer side, the family-oriented side in this movie, and it will be interesting to see if he pulls it off.
It will.
Yeah.
He also has a new camera person on this. He's not using.
His sister.
Yeah,
because of the Transcendence.
After Transcendence, I guess he doesn't want anything to do with it.
He was busy with this movie while the pre-production.
This movie was a few years,
in the making
since the last Batman. Really.
Yeah. All right. That is interesting, no doubt. We're looking forward to this. David Fincher is also coming out with a new film.
David Fincher is making Gone Girl with Ben Affleck in the lead right before he goes off to be his own Batman.
Right.
He's doing this. It's about a man whose wife disappears during his 5-year anniversary, and he's sort of suspected of the murder or her disappearance. It also stars Neil Patrick Harris,
which is interesting as a dramatic
really
role.
Creepy guy.
Yeah.
You can see in the trailer he's a really creepy guy. We don't know much about this movie yet.
Yeah.
It has his usual suspect. It has his cinematographer since Fight Club who's worked with him.
Yeah.
We have another sure to be wonderful score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, but it's an interesting movie.
And Tyler Perry is also featured as the attorney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, David Fincher and Tyler Perry.
Yes,
What
coming
could go
together
wrong?
at last.
Yeah.
Yes.
What could go wrong?
Not in a dress.
Yeah. Next up on my list of interesting movies is Birdman, which is Alejandro González Iñárritu's the Mexican dramatist or melodramatist.
Yeah, what I find really interesting about this is that it's supposedly going to be a comedy.
Yeah,
now,
it looks like
doing a comedy. Do you remember anything?
I don't think so. He has a very bleak point of view about the world.
21 grams makes you want to kill yourself.
Exactly.
But he is trying. It stars Michael Keaton, which is a good start. Let's take a look at a piece of that trailer.
You're the original man. Let's make a comeback. That's what I'm talking about. You're Birdman. You are a god.
Hey! Is this for real or are you shooting a film?
A film!
You people are full of shit.
Music.
He's a Hollywood clown in a lycra bird suit.
Yes, he is. But he's going out on that stage and risking it.
So it's about an actor who used to be a superhero.
Yeah, so it's really interesting for two reasons. First of all, because it's building on Michael Keaton's career, and second of all, as Batman. He was Batman.
Michael Keaton, of course, the first Batman.
Yeah. And the best one.
Yeah.
I said it.
We'll take it later.
I mean, in the Keaton camp.
The second interesting point about this movie is that, gossip says that it's going to be one long take stitched together with movie magic.
I find that hard to believe.
And if so, it'll give a run for its money to his fellow Mexican, Alfonso Cuarón, who did a 17-minute long take with Gravity. The last thing I want to mention is the movie Tusk by Kevin Smith, which is interesting because it's a movie that was born in a podcast. Kevin Smith has a podcast, a very popular one, Smodcast, which he does every week with his producer, Scott Mosier. And they were talking about a story one week, and they started talking about this, and now it's a movie, less than a year later.
Let's hope it'll be a good one. I'm not sure that the way it was started is any guarantee to that. And now let's move on to Israel. In the recent months, we've seen some very impressive films coming out of Israel. I think the most interesting one, in my opinion at least, is Zero Motivation. I want to ask you all, as I guess, of course, you're biased.
Of course,
as one of the main actors in the film. Oh, you have a very small role there.
Blink and you miss it. Yeah.
You blink and you miss it. It's a wonderful film. What was it like working to be there?
Well, it was actually a pretty fun set. I didn't know I came as a film star here.
Wow.
But it was a really nice set. It was shot on one of the rainiest days in Israel history, and no one can see it on the screen.
Right.
It looks like the dry desert that it is.
So as a critic, what do you think? What are the most interesting films that came out recently?
Well, actually, we had a pretty strong summer. Right now, we had Zero Motivation that was really successful. We had
One at Tribeca.
One Tribeca, first prize. No one saw it coming.
Yeah,
and that took many people by surprise.
Everyone thought it's a very, very Israeli film.
Yeah,
people relate it. Yeah, it's about very specific army things. And
and they didn't really get it because one of the critics said, "Well, if those girls hate their job so much, why don't they quit?" And so it didn't pass through totally.
Okay, it doesn't translate fully, but enough to win Tribeca.
Yeah, and we'll see how that will go on other film festivals. Right now we had Kicking Out Shoshana, a new comedy about a very successful soccer player that is forced to come out of the closet by this very vicious mobster, though he is straight.
Sounds like an 80s throwback to some of the Israeli films and comedies.
Yeah, we talked about Menahem Golan. That's kind of his comedy. It's doing really well at the box office right now. So we have two Israeli comedies.
That's nice. These are rare.
We have one successful Israeli comedy. We had Hunting the Elephants before, and even in these days, when it's pretty tough outside, people probably want to go to...
Let's skip ahead to what's coming out later.
Coming out in Israel, it's kind of crazy because you never really know
when the film is actually coming out. Right?
So we have the upcoming events are the Ophir Awards that will be announced 2 days from now. And we have the Haifa Film Festival in Sukkot.
One of I think the films that are going to play a major role in the upcoming year is Get by Ronit and Shlomi Elkabetz.
Hopefully, it's due to September 11th. It will hit theaters, and I really hope it will be a big hit because this is one of the best films I've seen.
It tells the story of a divorce, really.
Yeah, about it takes take place in one place. At some years, and it's actually a third part of a trilogy.
Oh.
After V'lakachta lecha isha and Shiva, the last one was pretty successful in 2008, won 2 Ophir Awards for Best Cinematography and Best Supporting Actress, and now they are coming with the cast and some new actors like Zev Revach to bring this very intense drama. very well acted.
That gives really a look inside the rabbinical courts in Israel and how this whole thing of...
yeah, it's a very Kafkaic process of this woman who tries to seduce from her husband.
Yeah. Maybe it'll even bring some change, hopefully. Who knows?
I'm skeptical.
I know. Yeah. Let's keep going. Funeral at Noon, really quickly, an interesting film.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous film, shot wonderfully by Nadav Exelman. It won the Best Actress in Haifa Film Festival.
Directed by Adam Sanderson.
Hila Vidor gives
Unfortunately, we have a lot of other films we'd like to talk about, but we ran out of time. So is the game. Avri, Or, Gabi, thank you, all three of you, for being here. Thank you at home for joining us as well. We will be here tomorrow with another edition of Culture. Join us.